Retired Air Force Brigadier General John Teichert, he joins us now with a breakdown. General, it's always a pleasure to see you. Grateful you can make it back on the program. So there are some saying now, why make a deal with Iran when they're so weak politically, economically, militarily, adding that any deal with the U.S. may actually sustain this regime longer than it would otherwise. So what are your thoughts along those lines? And, some in the wings saying the president should use this opportunity to take the regime down.
Kelly, I think the president is giving Iran a limited window to negotiate. But thus far, we have not seen Iran negotiate in good faith, and I don't think that we should expect to see them negotiate in good faith. And I think the Iranian regime would rather face defeat at the hands of Americans and Israelis than admit failure. Because it was last summer that the United States, in one night with 7 B-2s, destroyed the Iranian nuclear program and destroyed and turned to rubble $500 billion of Iranian investment. And I don't expect that Iran will trade away their nuclear program, because it would admit that for the last 4.5 decades, they have squandered and wasted the lives and the well-being of the Iranian people.
So if these talks do in fact fail, how likely do you see military action? And what other moves might the president be weighing also to put additional pressure on the regime too?
Kelly, I think the middle of next week is a tipping point, because that will be the end of the 40-day mourning period of the primary onslaught of the protesters in Iran. And there is this massive tidal wave of bubbling discontent that either U.S. strikes can prompt, again, the resurgence of protests, or we could support protests. And I also think it's telling that Prime Minister Netanyahu is now coming to the United States a week earlier than expected. He's bringing his air chief with him, which indicates that there's going to be detailed talks about likely what will happen next week. And I also think President Trump's credibility is on the line, because he said we were locked and loaded. He said help was on the way. And I think the 17th and the 18th of February are unique dates because of that mourning period where the United States is likely to strike.
So the president has vowed Iran must not obtain a nuclear weapon. We have heard this time and time again. How in-depth would any verification process need to be in order to ensure what the president has said? And can he trust any agreement along those lines realistically?
Kelly, we have to have a thorough set of making sure that we have rigorous ability to assess whether Iran does have nuclear capability. But I also think, like Hannah said, that we need to make sure that they drastically diminish their ballistic missile program, which is an existential threat to Israel, and dismantle the proxy network that they have sown around the region. And I think all three of those are necessary for a deal. But I don't think Iran is even willing to trade one of them, the nuclear program, for the reasons that I described previously.
Right. Well, it makes a lot of sense. We'll see what happens. Interesting timeline layout there. General John Teichert, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly.